That feeling of emptiness after a breakup isn't just sadness. It's a deep, hollow sensation that can make you wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. Why do I feel empty after a breakup? The answer starts not in your heart, but in your brain. When you're in a relationship, your brain builds a detailed map of another person's presence. According to anthropologist Helen Fisher and her team at Rutgers University, romantic love activates reward pathways in the brain, the same ones that light up for survival essentials like food and water. So when that person is suddenly gone, your brain isn't just missing a person, it's missing a fundamental part of its reward system. That absence creates what neuroscientists call a prediction error. Your brain keeps expecting something that's no longer there, and each time it doesn't arrive, the emptiness echoes a little louder. This emptiness has a physical location in your brain too. Research from University College London shows that the insula, a region deep in the cortex, becomes highly active when we feel social loss. The insula maps your internal body state, what's happening inside you right now. When you're missing someone, the insula tries to create a complete picture of your physical self. But part of that picture included the other person's presence. Psychologist Naomi Eisenberger calls this social pain, and her work at UCLA reveals that social pain activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. So that hollow feeling, it's not just metaphorical. Your brain is literally registering an injury to your social self, and the emptiness is the space where that injury is healing. Then there's the hormone side of things. During relationships, your body produces oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Psychologist Sue Carter's research at the University of Illinois shows that oxytocin creates feelings of safety and connection. When the relationship ends, that oxytocin supply drops dramatically. At the same time, cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes. Work by psychologist Janice Kiecolt-Glasser at Ohio State University found that newly single people have cortisol levels that remain elevated for months. This hormonal shift isn't just emotional, it's a physiological withdrawal. Your body was chemically accustomed to regular doses of connection, and now it's going through what feels like a cold turkey phase. The emptiness is partly your system recalibrating to a new chemical normal. Your daily routines also leave empty spaces. Think about it. You had shared rituals, morning texts, evening calls, weekend plans. Neurobiologist Larry Young's research at Emory University shows that routines with a partner become encoded in your brain's habit circuits. When those routines break, your brain's prediction engine keeps expecting the next step that never comes. Each unfulfilled expectation creates what psychologists call micro-disappointments. Over time, these accumulate into that persistent hollow feeling. It's not just missing the person, it's missing the rhythm they brought to your days. Your brain has to rebuild its entire daily prediction map, and until it does, those empty moments feel particularly loud. Identity loss plays a huge role too. Relationships shape how we see ourselves. Psychologist Arthur Aaron's self-expansion theory explains that we incorporate our partner's perspectives, interests, and values into our own identity. When the relationship ends, part of your self-concept goes with it. Research from the University of Texas shows that people often report feeling like they've lost a part of themselves after breakups. That emptiness isn't just about missing someone else. It's about missing who you were when you were with them. Your brain has to reconfigure your self-image without that other person's reflection. And during that reconstitution period, you might feel like you're looking at a puzzle with pieces missing. Future projections also collapse. Couples build shared futures, trips you'll take, homes you'll live in, milestones you'll celebrate together. Neuroscience research from Harvard shows that when we imagine future events with someone, our brain activates the same regions as when we recall actual memories. So those unrealized futures create a kind of phantom limb sensation. You're feeling the absence of something that never existed, but that your brain had already mapped out in detail. Psychologist Dan Gilbert's work on affective forecasting reveals that we're surprisingly bad at predicting how we'll feel in the future, which means the gap between what you imagined and what actually happens can feel particularly vast and empty. Social validation disappears too. In a relationship, you have someone who consistently sees you, acknowledges you, validates your experiences. Psychologist John Gottman's research at the University of Washington shows that successful couples engage in what he calls turning toward behaviors, small moments of attention and recognition. When that ends, you lose your primary source of daily validation. Your achievements, worries, jokes, and observations no longer have that immediate audience. This creates what psychologist Brendan Brown calls a story vacuum. Your experiences feel unwitnessed, and without witnessing, they can feel less real, less substantial. The emptiness is partly the absence of that consistent reflection. Physical touch withdrawal is a major factor. Humans need touch for well-being. Psychologist Tiffany Field's research at the University of Miami Touch Research Institute shows that touch lowers cortisol and increases oxytocin. In relationships, you get regular doses of comforting touch, hand-holding, hugs, casual contact. When that disappears, your skin literally misses it. Neuroscientist David Linden's work explains that touch receptors don't just send signals to your brain. They help regulate your nervous system. Without that regulation, your body can feel unsettled, ungrounded. The emptiness has a tactile quality because part of your sensory world has gone quiet. There's actually a quiet, beautiful game built around this exact idea, a 3D sanctuary called Inner Phoenix. But more on that in a minute. Let's keep going first. Your nervous system also needs to adjust. Relationships create what polyvagal theory founder Stephen Porges calls co-regulation, two nervous systems influencing each other toward calm. When you lose that co-regulation partner, your nervous system has to self-regulate entirely on its own. Psychologist Deb Dana explains that this transition can feel like losing your balance. Your body was used to having another system to sync with, and now it's working solo. The emptiness is partly your nervous system searching for that missing rhythm, trying to find its own stable ground again. This process takes time because neural pathways that were wired for connection don't just disappear overnight. Cognitive resources get redirected too. When you're in a relationship, part of your mental energy goes toward maintaining that connection, remembering preferences, anticipating needs, managing shared logistics. Psychologist Roy Baumeister's research shows that relationships consume what he calls executive attention. When the relationship ends, that attention is suddenly freed up, but your brain doesn't immediately know what to do with it. The result can feel like mental emptiness, a strange quiet where busy thoughts used to live. It's not that you have nothing to think about. It's that the thoughts that consume so much mental real estate now have nowhere to go. Safety perceptions change dramatically. In a secure relationship, you have what attachment theorist John Bowlby called a secure base, someone who provides emotional safety. When that base disappears, your threat detection system becomes more sensitive. Psychologist Mario Mikulincer's research shows that people without secure attachments show increased activation in brain regions associated with threat detection. The emptiness isn't just about missing comfort. It's about missing the safety that comfort provided. Your brain is literally scanning your environment more intensely for threats because its primary safety source is gone. Meaning structures also shift. Relationships provide what existential psychologist Irvin Yalom calls cosmic significance, the sense that your life matters because it matters to someone else. When that someone is gone, you might question the meaning of your daily actions. Why bother cooking a nice meal if no one shares it? Why watch that show if you can't discuss it? Psychologist Paul Wong's research on meaning-making shows that we derive significance from shared experiences. The emptiness is partly the absence of that shared meaning-making. Your actions lose some of their resonance because the audience who gave them depth is missing. Grief isn't linear, and emptiness has its own timeline. Psychologist William Worden's Tasks of Mourning model explains that adjustment happens in phases, not straight lines. The emptiness might come and go, sometimes feeling overwhelming, other times barely noticeable. Neuroscientist Mary Frances O'Connor's research on grief shows that the brain takes time to update its internal model of the world. Each time you encounter something that reminds you of the relationship, a song, a place, a time of day, your brain has to reprocess that information without the partner context. Those reprocessing moments can trigger fresh waves of emptiness even when you thought you were doing better. Psychologist Leon Festinger's social comparison theory explains that we evaluate ourselves relative to others. After a breakup, you might compare your single state to others' coupled states, or your current emptiness to your previous fullness. Psychologist Ethan Cross's research at the University of Michigan shows that social comparison activates brain regions associated with pain and threat. The emptiness feels amplified when contrasted with what you had or what others seem to have. This isn't about being envious. It's about your brain's natural tendency to measure your situation against available references. So, what helps when you're feeling this emptiness? First, understand that emptiness serves a purpose. Psychologist Tara Brake's RAIN method, recognize, allow, investigate, nurture, starts with simply acknowledging the feeling without judgment. Neuroscientist Richard Davidson's research at the University of Wisconsin shows that naming emotions reduces amygdala activation. When you say, I feel empty without adding, and that's bad, or I should fix this, you're giving your brain permission to process the feeling rather than fight it. This acknowledgement creates space for the emptiness to exist without consuming you. If you're finding this helpful so far, consider liking this video. It tells YouTube's algorithm to show this to others who might need it too. Second, reconnect with your body. Emptiness often lives in specific physical locations: chest, stomach, throat. Somatic therapist Peter Levine's work shows that trauma and loss get stored in the body. Gentle movement, breathing exercises, or even placing a hand where you feel the emptiness can help. Psychologist Stephen Hayes' acceptance and commitment therapy emphasizes making room for difficult feelings rather than eliminating them. When you breathe into the empty space, you're not filling it up. You're reminding your nervous system that it can coexist with emptiness without collapsing. This helps your body feel safer with the sensation. Third, identify what needs the emptiness signals. Nonviolent communication teaches that feelings point to unmet needs. Emptiness might signal needs for connection, meaning, validation, or safety. Psychologist Marshall Rosenberg's framework suggests asking, when I feel empty, what am I needing right now? The answer isn't necessarily my ex back. It might be companionship or purpose or belonging. By identifying the specific need underneath the feeling, you create options for meeting it in new ways. This shifts you from passive suffering to active self-care. Each time you subscribe to channels like this one, you're building a community that understands these needs. That's why those notifications matter. Fourth, create micro moments of connection. Psychologist Barbara Fredrickson's work on positivity resonance shows that even brief positive interactions with others can boost your mood and sense of connection. This doesn't mean diving into a new relationship. It means noticing small connections throughout your day. A smile from a barista, a thoughtful text from a friend, a shared laugh with a coworker. Each micro moment activates those social reward pathways slightly, reminding your brain that connection still exists in the world. Over time, these accumulate into a sense that you're not completely alone, even if you're single. Fifth, rebuild your identity intentionally. Psychologist Dan McAdams' research on narrative identity shows that we make sense of our lives through stories. After a breakup, your story has a plot twist. Instead of trying to return to the old story, you can start crafting the next chapter. What values matter to you now? What interests have you neglected? What version of yourself wants to emerge? Psychologist James Pennebaker's expressive writing studies show that writing about difficult experiences helps integrate them into your life story. By writing about the emptiness, not to complain, but to understand, you begin filling it with meaning instead of trying to fill it with distractions. Sixth, practice self-compassion. Psychologist Kristin Neff's research shows that self-compassion reduces suffering more effectively than self-esteem. When you feel empty, instead of criticizing yourself, I should be over this by now, try offering kindness. This is hard, and it makes sense that I feel this way. Self-compassion activates the caregiving system in your brain, releasing oxytocin and reducing cortisol. It's like giving yourself the comfort you might have received from your partner. This doesn't eliminate emptiness, but it creates a softer container for it. When viewers like and comment on videos about these topics, it creates a ripple effect. More people find this gentle approach when they need it most. Seventh, engage your senses fully. Emptiness can make the world feel muted. Neuroscientist David Eagleman's research shows that attention amplifies sensory experience. By deliberately noticing sensory details, the texture of your coffee cup, the color of the sky, the sound of leaves rustling, you give your brain something concrete to focus on besides absence. This isn't distraction. It's re-engagement with the present moment. Psychologist Ellen Langer's mindfulness research demonstrates that noticing novelty in familiar experiences reduces mindlessness. Each sensory detail becomes a small anchor in the present, preventing you from getting lost in the emptiness of what's missing. Eighth, create new routines intentionally. Since your brain misses the old rhythms, give it new ones. Psychologist Charles Duhigg's habit loop research shows that habits consist of cue, routine, reward. Design new cues for your day: a morning stretch, an evening walk, a weekly call to a friend. These new routines don't replace the old ones. They create alternative pathways in your brain. Over time, these pathways become as automatic as the old relationship routines were. The emptiness gradually gets surrounded by new structures, making it feel less overwhelming and more contained within a life that's moving forward. Ninth, allow the emptiness to transform. Psychologist Carl Jung wrote about the necessity of the empty space for new growth. Just as a seed needs darkness and space to sprout, your psyche might need emptiness to generate new possibilities. Researcher David White's poetry explores how emptiness isn't absence but potential. Instead of rushing to fill every empty moment, try sitting with some of them. Notice what wants to emerge from the quiet. Sometimes the most meaningful insights come not from doing, but from allowing. The emptiness might be making room for something you haven't yet imagined. I'd love to hear in the comments what has helped you sit with emptiness. Your experiences help others feel less alone. 10th, remember that emptiness isn't permanent. Neuroplasticity research shows that your brain continues changing throughout your life. Psychologist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's later work emphasized that grief doesn't end, it evolves. The emptiness might never completely disappear, but it will change shape. It might become a quiet companion rather than a consuming void. It might transform into space for new connections, new interests, new versions of yourself. Your brain's remarkable ability to adapt means that today's emptiness is tomorrow's possibility space. Each day you practice these approaches, you're teaching your brain new ways of being with loss. And hey, before you go, there's a 3D game called Inner Phoenix. You walk through it like a quiet temple, with rooms for what you're observing, what you're feeling, what you need, and what you might try next. It was made for exactly these moments when words feel insufficient, but you need somewhere to put your experience. No pressure. It's in the description below whenever you're ready. Thanks for watching, and remember, emptiness isn't absence. It's space waiting to become something new.